Hello everyone, this is Shishi coming to you today with an exciting Friday flower. Today's flower looks something like this. It's inspired by a set that I picked up at Tuesday morning, and I've done my best to figure out how to make this flower right here. So what you'll need for the project is some cardstock, 3 different types of scrap cardstock that you like to make this flower. So the dimensions for this flower, you'll need for the little petals to cut your cardstock at 3 inches by 4.5 inches. And to make the center rosette, you'll need to cut your cardstock at a 12-inch strip. You'll need some type of decorative border die to make the rosette, or a punch, or decorative scissors to get the wonky shape edge. Okay, you'll need scissors, you'll need hot glue. I do recommend, now these items are only recommended, you don't have to have these items, a scoring board, a punch for the center like a scallop or butterfly or heart, and some type of non-stick mat for your hot glue, because it's really difficult to do the petals. So it's just recommended. You can do it without it, but I'm going to use my craft mat. So I'm going to get started, and I hope you enjoy. Now I hope this tutorial is not too long. This is a 2-for, because you're getting 2 for 1. Many of you requested how do I do this, so I'm going to show you just one thing of, well, one half of the tutorial. Now I hope, like I said, I hope it's not too long. If you don't have time to watch all of this, just, come back later, or, if you don't have time at all, I understand. So I'm going to use washi tape to tape this down, because this is the 12-inch border strip that I'm taping to the die cutting mat board, because I don't want this die to move around. And I'm going to use the negative part. I'm not going to use the pretty part, because I want a wonky shape. So I'm going to tape this down like this. See if I can zoom out a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so I'm taping this down like this, and I've already folded over my paper, so I apologize if you didn't see that part, but it's a 12-inch sheet of cardstock. Now I don't want this to be really big, so what I'm doing here, as you can see, I am trying to get this die to line up with the edge, so that there's just a little bit of space to give me enough to score on my scoring board. So I hope you can see how much of this is the part that I'm going to use. I'm not using the pretty part, I'm using the wonky shape part. So I'm just going to tape this down and just give me enough to score so I get a tiny rosette. So just giving, like I'm judging here how much I'm going to need. I think that's about enough. So I'm going to run this through my die cutting machine just like that. So as you can see, this was the strip, and I just folded this over, and it's 6 inches long. Now this will cut through both sides of the paper, so I'm going to add my other plate like this, and I'm going to run this through my die cutting machine like this. So once this comes out, it should cut through both sides of the paper, and we'll have a, well, I think both sides look pretty, whether it be the wonky shaped side or the, I'll just move this out the way. We won't need it until the second half, or the other part. So this is what I have. This is the negative piece that I cut. I'm just going to tape the tape off, and I'll save this other part for later, because I will probably use this and make a different rosette. But this is the piece that I'm saving. I'm not using this. This is the part that will give me the wonky shape that goes in the middle, like that. So now that we have our die cutting part out the way, this is the part I'm using. This is for the middle of our flower. So I'm just going to get that out the way. I just wanted to get the die cutting part out the way so that if you were just interested in the rosette part, then you can, you know, watch that and go about your day. And if you wanted to see the whole tutorial for the flower, then I'll show you that next. So what I'm going to do, because I'll need my scoring board for both parts, so that's why I got the die cutting part out the way. I need it for this sheet of cardstock and also this sheet. So I'm going to bring in my scoring board. It's a Martha Stewart scoring board. Now if you don't have one, you can do an accordion fold. It's up to you. I use it because it's easier for me. So I'm just going to tape some of this down because paper tends to slide a lot when I'm trying to score. So hopefully this will help keep my paper steady while I'm scoring. So this is just a preference, and then I should move the tape around when I'm getting to that point. So what I'm doing, let me see if I can zoom in just a little bit. I am scoring every 1/4 of an inch in case you've never made a rosette before. So I'll do this all throughout the strip. Okay? So I just wanted you to see that. So now I'm going to zoom out so you can see what I'm doing, because you can't see the whole board. Okay? Let's see. Here we go. So here we go. I'm scoring at every 1/4 of an inch. So here's the first score, the next score, and then I'll just keep going all down the strip. And I'm holding my strip in place because it moves a lot when you're scoring, because you know you only have 2 hands, so that tape keeps it in place. It should, maybe losing its stickiness. So I'm going to score, keep scoring, trying to give it some good score marks. At the 5 1/4 mark, 5 3/4. Now I'm where the tape is, so I'm going to move that. And then I'm at the 6-inch mark. So I'm going to keep on scoring. And just keep on going until I reach the end of my strip. Usually this can go by pretty quickly. It's boring to watch, but I just want to show everyone the process and how to do this. Okay, now I'm at the end of my strip. Take the tape off. Now, next I'm going to score. This is the cardstock that I'm using for my petals of the flower. I'm going to score this every 1/4 of an inch. So here is the 1/4 inch mark. Go all the way down the paper and score. Hold your paper steady as you're scoring so that it doesn't slip. And I do this all at once because we're going to cut these in strips with our scissors. Now I could use a cutting board, but I don't have room for the cutting board in the camera, so I'm going to use just a pair of scissors. So the paper is moving again. Alright, almost to the end. Okay, so I've scored that. Now when you've scored all your strips, you're going to fold all the score marks. Now I'm going to zoom in just a little bit. I'm going to take my scoreboard away because we don't need this anymore. I do have my hot glue gun going, so this would be a good time to do that if you're following along with me. Okay, so I'm going to fold this one first, and you're just basically going back and forth and back and forth, just like if you're making a fan in elementary school. Just make sure you get the creases really crisp. This can be rather boring, but I'm doing this so that everyone can see just how to do this. So then next we're going to do the rosette, the wonky shaped one. And then if you do not want to watch the rest of the tutorial and you just want to go about your day, then that would be fine. I understand. But this is the part that I'm using for my petals of the flower. Okay, we're almost to the end. Just making sure I get a crisp fold at the end. Now for the edges of the petals, I'm going to use some scissors that give me this type of edge like this. So it's up to you if you want to do that, but I'm going to use those. Okay, next we have this strip. Looks like this. And we'll do the same thing. This shouldn't take long to fold back and forth, back and forth. Just, you know, keep going. A lot of people sometimes have trouble with this part, but you just keep folding back and forth until you get to the end. And, you know, just make sure your creases are crisp. It's really fast. When you're in a hurry, you can make a bunch of these. Just whip them out. It's almost like you're the human paper crimper. So I'm almost to the end. I'm to the end. And then here's what you get when you've done it to the end. All that. Okay, now with the wonky shape rosette, I recommend you cut off one strip. I don't recommend you try to do a valley fold like that because it's not going to look right, because this is not a circle where it's going to match up just right, because there's two little points that don't look right and it's just not going to match up with the other side. So we just may as well cut it off and have some glue right here to glue the two ends. So I'm going to cut that like that and glue these two ends together. And I'm just going to glue this one over this one. Doesn't really matter which one you cut off, just cut off one end and glue it together. And you just press that down and let that dry until you're ready to glue the pieces together. And that is how you make the rosette part. Now, in order for this to work, there is a technique that I do for these petals. So this is a little tricky when you're pressing this down because it's so tiny. But when you do this wonky shape, you just press it in like this and just squeeze it in like so, so it'll get that shape. Can you see that? Let me zoom in just a little bit if you're having trouble seeing. This is the shape. It looks really funny. I just press that down and it's a wonky shape. See how weird it is? All I did was squeeze it in, and then I'm going to put some hot glue in the middle, and then it's going to hold its wonky shape like that. And that's how you get the shape. It's really the same as a regular rosette. It's no different. Now I'm not going to cut off this little piece right here. I'm just going to leave it as it is because it's really not going to matter once you see the rest of the tutorial. So that is how you make the rosette, and like I said, just put some hot glue in the middle. I need to leave this piece as it is. I don't want to make the full rosette because the next process is a little different when you're making the petals, and I need this to stay as it is because the way I layer the flower. So that's the end of the rosette. If you need to go about your day, I want to thank you for joining me. So now I'm going to continue on with the flower. Okay, here's the flower petals that I have. I'm going to zoom out just a little bit so you can see what I am doing. We're going to cut these in 3 strips. How you figure out what strips you cut the peaks, and you'll need to cut them in 3 peaks. So I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, and then cut this valley. So 1, 2, 3. I'm sorry, 1, 2, 3, and cut this valley. So that's how I come up with where to cut. Okay, next, count the peaks, 1, 2, 3, and then cut the valley. It's just easier to score rather than cut strips and then score it that way. I'd rather just score it all at once. Okay, so everything should be even. So next, you'll want to get all your pieces together and cut them in half. And you just judge what's half for you. So I'm going to get a ruler and mark it with a pencil and then just cut it in half. So let's see, here's a ruler. Just going to turn this over, and here's 1.5 inches, about right there. So I'm going to cut that right there where I marked with the pencil. And it doesn't matter if it's straight, these are just the petals. Okay, so next, this is how you come up with the petals. This is the tricky part. How do you get these petals to stay? Well, you take the petal like this. Take 3 of them to start. And just make sure you get the crisp edges like that. And then you just place them together like this. Get your hot glue. This is why you need this nonstick mat. So I'm going to do a dollop of glue right here. And then I'm going to take 3 petals and press them into the glue like this. And that's how I'm going to get them to stay. And then I'm going to do the rest of the petals after I get these to stay. And just hold it until it stays or the glue dries a little bit. And then you just start to place your other petals and the glue once this stays. That's the only way I could think of to get this to work, because I couldn't figure out any other way that this petal flower made sense, because there's a circle hiding the construction of this flower, and I didn't want to take it apart. I didn't want to ruin what I had purchased. So I said, well, this is a workaround. If it's not the way it should be, then that's okay. I like what I've come up with, and I'm not trying to work for the company and manufacture these. This is just for fun, and it's a hobby. So, you know, hey, anybody who wants to make them how I make them, then I'll show you how. I didn't find any tutorials on YouTube, and I just came up with my own solution. So I hope this helps anyone who wanted to make some like this. And this is my take on it. So next I'm going to do the other 3. So here's the next one. Place that one in. Place this one in. And I'm just taking my time, and I understand if this tutorial is really long and you don't have time to watch it all, but I wanted to show you guys how I came up with this. And these petals are rather long, but like I said, we're using some decorative scissors, decorative edge scissors, to cut down the petals to give them a different edge. So that's the reason for the petals to be so long, to give us some leeway. So then I'm going to do the next one. And just let that dry. Glue strings everywhere. So next, we're going to take our wonky shape and set this on top while this is kind of still wet and drying. And then we're going to take some glue and put this on top, and this is all going to stick together. That's why I didn't want to do the glue already, because this flower is already thick enough. And in order for it to be a little bit flat and without, you know, circle punches in the middle trying to hold everything together, this is the only way I could think of to get this to work. Just like the construction of the other flower. So I'm going to let this be like this, and then I'm going to put some glue on it while it's laying flat like this, and then it's all going to glue together. Okay, and then I'm going to squeeze this while it's on top of everything. And just let that dry. Okay. You just have to hold it a little bit. Just give it a few seconds. Hot glue takes just a few, I don't know, like 15-20 seconds. Everything's so quiet in this house tonight. Okay, hopefully it'll stay. I hope so. It's a little messy right now. Okay. Nope, still coming apart. I'm just going to hold it just a little bit longer. And next I'm going to find the circle or the scallop circle that I was going to put on top. And let's see. And then give it a punch. Okay, now it should stay. Alright, that's what we have so far. That's how it looks. I think I moved it over a little bit because this one looks a little short. Yeah, I think that's the middle. Yeah, it's just warm now. Yeah, that's more the middle. Okay. This is the paper I'm using for the punch in the middle. And this is the punch that I'm using. It's a scallop and it's the closest I could get. So I'm going to turn this upside down so I can see where I am punching to get the circle like in the middle, the scallop I mean. As close to the middle as possible. It's not going to be a full heart, but it's going to be close enough. So, here we go. And this is what I got. Put that on top. So, on our example, I have some little bling pieces and I'm going to glue that on top. So I'm just looking for my little bling pieces. Just 3 little bling pieces. And they don't have to match, so I'm just going to look for another color. I have these little pieces because this is a multicolor flower, and whatever I pick out, that's what we'll use. Oh, it just happened to match. So I'm going to glue all these together onto that, and we're almost done. And hopefully this is not 30 minutes. Or maybe it is, I don't know. So I'm giving it 3 little dots of glue. And my little bling pieces are pink and 2 clear. So I don't have my pickup tool. I don't know where it's at for the moment. So I'm hoping this doesn't take forever to get on the glue. There's one. And it's upside down, of course. But hopefully it'll dry clear. And here's the next one. Then I'm going to get on here. These are so tiny. I need the pickup tool. I have it, but I just don't know where it's at in my craft room. And this one seemed to have fallen underneath there. Here we go. And here we go. Here's the other one. Alright, we got all 3 of the bling pieces on. And I just need to let that dry. And while that's drying, then I'm going to go ahead and shape the petals. And I got my scissors. So, when you're shaping your flower, I'm going to take this off now. Just peel it off like that. When you're shaping your flowers, just take the scissors and go along this edge right here and give it a cut. Like that. Now it doesn't matter that it didn't get all because we're going to shape those petals. So I'm just going to give it a cut right here. Like that. Then this one, I'm going to fan this one out. Give this one a cut. Now, I know this video is a little long. This flower takes a little time. And you're probably thinking, if it takes this long to make this flower, I may as well buy it in the store. Well, I was thinking the same thing, but they only had blue. So if you want to make them in custom colors, then it takes, it didn't take that long. It's just this is a tutorial and I'm explaining everything. So I say this flower takes about 15-20 minutes to make. But if you're making a lot, then it's not going to take that long, because I would make all these at once. So I'm just going across all the petals like that. And so I'm going to do some cleanup with my scissors because I don't like how these edges are. They're too square to me. So I'm going to take my scissors and just give these a rounded edge around the petals and cut off that part on each petal like that. Just so that it doesn't, it looks more like a petal and not so square blocked or triangle blocked. So yeah, just round it with your scissors and like that. And we're almost done. Yay! So there you go. And now I'm going to put the other piece on. This is the top part, and it goes on like that. So get a little bit of glue like this. Doesn't have to be a lot, but I wanted this to stay on. So I'm going to place this on like this. And there we go. Here is the flower. Start to finish. No editing. This is real time. Now these are a little bit close, but that's just how it is. My wonky shaped flower. And here's another one that I made with a heart. So here's the Friday flowers. Hope for those who are new to crafting, hope I took my time and you could see step by step how to make everything, and that you'll give this a try. But yeah, these are a little time consuming, but I think they're worth it. And I'll show you the original inspiration, and you be the judge if I was able to make them as close to the store-bought as possible. So this one's a little small. I kind of like this one, it's cute. But here are the other two that I made that were a little bit bigger to be, let's see, let me zoom out just a little bit, closer to the store-bought. Yeah, here we go. See the little rhinestones, and there you go. So I hope you enjoyed this. My partner Lori Seabrook should be doing better this week, so if you want to go and check out her channel, I'll link her YouTube channel in the description box below. So take care everyone, and have a great day.